Raise your voices, raise your glass high. Welcome to the Drink O'Clock Podcast. Let's dive. Oh, grab an old fashioned and join the fray. Raise your spirits, let the music play. From the corner pub to the dance hall floor. Drink O'Clock Podcast, we're ready for more.
Welcome to season 2, baby. I took a hiatus of a couple weeks. We're cranking them out. I'm fucking jam-packed now through July. You know what, man? I got to tell you, I'm fucking excited to have on someone with your stature. So I have Shawn Green with me, who goes by Bingo. That's his stage name. Mine was Max ABV, by the way, back when I was streaming and back when I first started this. I've kind of removed it from a lot of things, but that was my my go-to. And Shawn, Bingo, you're a seasoned comedic actor. You're an improver, and you have a podcast that's mostly live, although you post all your stuff on YouTube and Spotify and all that, known as the Halfwayokay podcast. Welcome to the show, man. Oh, this is the Drink O'Clock Podcast, by the way. I guess I should fucking say that.
Yeah.
I don't even think I said my show name. Shows how much I'm fucking in my head today. But welcome to the show, man.
They can read. They know what they clicked on. They know what's happening. They know what's in their feed.
This is the internet, man.
It's the
you know
90s,
how it is.
man. It's the internet on the 90s. They know what's happening. They know what RSS feeds are. They can get it if they want to. You know?
People are bastards, dude. You know, they'll call me out on, like, the dumbest fucking shit. And it's like, bro, go get your own fucking podcast. How about that?
Oh, yeah, no kidding.
Or just don't listen. I don't give a shit. I just do this because it gives me an excuse to drink during the week. And people don't look at me weird, you know?
I haven't gotten any hate, which means I don't have I don't have a wide enough audience because I've got no trolls. No one hates me. So I'm like, I'm not doing anything good. I obviously I'm not making an impact.
Well, and that's saying a lot too, because on Twitch you get some fucking haters, dude. Twitch just brings out the troll, and a lot of times because it's kids. You know, a lot of it's like 17, 18-year-old kids that have no fucking idea what life is real like, and they're like, "Hey, man, you know, you dance around a little bit, and I'll give you my Twitch Prime sub. Go play that game with no fucking weapons." And I'm like, that defeats the purpose of the game, you little cock munch. It's not worth $2.50. I'm sorry.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know if you're drinking, by the way.
I am.
Oh, awesome! What you got?
I have bourbon whiskey, Bullet brand.
Me
you
too,
trademark
man.
old fashioned. Is that what you have, an old fashioned, or you have straight whiskey?
So this is Bullet Rye, but this is what I make my
okay.
old fashions with. So this is my. I recommend trying proof syrup with Bullet. It's fucking delicious, and it makes a great old fashioned. I'm lazy as shit, so you don't have to do anything. It's delicious. But cheers, man.
Cheers. That's delicious stuff. I never make cocktails at home. I never make. I feel it's such a. There's so much. It's such a to do. So I'm like beer or bourbon, and then that's it. And it's just so stressful.
It is. And I'll tell you this. I literally didn't do anything except pour 2 liquids in a glass and stir. So that's probably the extent of how far I'd go. Like, and I'll tell you this. So the first time I made an old-fashioned, like a legit old-fashioned, I was excited, man. I fucking got home. I had everything I needed. It was all laid out on the counter. And I'm one of those people, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to get not cheap shit. And I'm going to, like, really invest into, you know, how to do it, techniques, right? So I was studying up on YouTube. I make it. So I bought a muddler on Amazon, and I'm muddling away and, you know, trying to get all the aromas and all that other bullshit. I make it. I take 1 sip. 1, it's disgusting. 2, I set it down. The motherfucker tips over, spills everywhere. So now I have a sugary, fucking shitty, old-fashioned mess all over my counter. And I was like,
drunk dog.
Never again.
Who's licking it up.
Yeah, never again. Absolutely not. It's too much fucking work. And if you do that, kudos to you. I'm just way too fucking lazy to do it. I'd rather just get drunk the old-fashioned way.
Yes, or like my favorite cocktail. I know if this is this drink hour. Are we just gonna talk about drinks? I'm cool with that. I like to talk about drinks. My favorite cocktail is a extra dirty vodka martini. I want it to taste like a salt lick. I want it to taste like a bullion cube, and I love it. It's my favorite, but I can't. I'm not even going to attempt to try to figure out how to make it. I'll just go to the bars that I know make a good one, or follow a bartender around like, oh, she makes that good. I'm going now. She works here. Okay, well, I guess we're going to the Silver Slipper now, friends. And it's great. I don't know if you're a fan of things that taste like salt, but it's a fine drink.
My fucking dogs, man, driving me nuts. The one time I leave them down here and they're barking. So I'm a snob now with old fashions because I know what I like. Mm-hmm. And I've really branched out with whiskey. So Angel's Envy is something I tried more recently. Shout out to Bill Harlow. He was on the podcast. He got me into it. It's a fucking expensive bottle, by the way. It was like $100 for the rye version, and it's like $60 for the regular. I don't know why it's like almost double the price, but I had anytime I go to a bar now, the first thing I do, not a hole in the wall. You don't go to a fucking corner bar asking for old fashions, okay? Let's set that record straight.
You're gonna get that maraschino cherry and some orange tang in a cup with some, maybe with some old granddad if you're lucky. Yeah.
It's a travesty. It's an abomination. But if I'm at a restaurant that's half decent, the first thing I do is ask the bartender, "How's your old fashions?" Because, you can have all the best ingredients in the world, but with an old fashioned, there takes some skill, man, and some love, and that's how you typically know the person's good at their job is if they can make a decent old fashioned. And I've had a couple places blow me away. I'm like, holy shit, this is amazing. And but any restaurant I go to for the first time, I try their old fashioned, typically.
That's fair.
I've had good ones, and I've had the cherry in there with the tang. From places you wouldn't even think, too. It's like, what the fuck is this? This was $15, sir?
Oh, yeah.
No. But, yeah, so enough about my rants on old fashions. This podcast is about you, man. Let's talk a little bit about you and kind of what got you to where you are. So, for starters, I always like to pick the brains of people who write, right? So, and as somewhat of an actor, right, and an improver, I feel like you're always writing in your head. So it doesn't really matter if you're on or not. You're always writing in your head. So
absolutely.
Talk to me a little bit about what got you into the comedy, acting, improv thing growing up. Was it something that was in your house? Were you the funny guy? Tell me a little bit about growing up and kind of how you got into that.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, any kind of little chubby weirdo is gonna get bullied. Yeah, there we go. I knew we were is gonna get bullied and targeted at any kind of where there's other feral children in school settings and stuff.
Well, hold on before you go into the story. Then what was your childhood nickname that they thought would be what would stick with you forever? Mine, I'll start, was Chubby Checkers.
Wow.
I don't know where the fuck these little animals got that from, but
that's
Chubby Checkers.
Shit. Yeah, that's ancient. That's something that.
And they called me.
About.
They called me something else. Oh, and then for a little while before I lost a shit ton of weight, it was Cookie.
Oh, that's a fun one though, Cookie. I
mean,
maybe not.
Unless you're the new kid in halfway through 8th grade because you just moved and you're trying to make friends and everyone's calling you Cookie because you're a fat nerd and you're just this is not going how I planned.
Not ideal. Not ideal. That's interesting. I never really had there was one nickname that just didn't really stick, and it was around it was in middle school, around 7th, 8th grade. You remember the old "It's Pat" sketches from SNL? And they call me Pat.
Those are awesome. Oh, that's fucked up.
How masculine is a 7th grader gonna be? It was a very weird thing. So it's just okay, I guess I don't. All right, And I didn't. I was ignorant. I wasn't watching SNL when I was in 7th grade. I was playing video games and watching DuckTales because those both ruled. And so I didn't know who they were referencing until like later, and I was like, "Oh, I get it. Well, that's hurtful." But so yeah, that was fun.
That's actually that's so fucked up, but it is kind of funny. But all right, so I feel like if you're listening to this, every nerdy fat kid, especially if you grew up, like I'll be 38 this year, especially if like you're in your 30s, like you grew up when kids were not like the safe space didn't exist in school. You were beat up. You were bullied. Like, it was no cyber shit. Like, if someone didn't like you, they just came up and punched you in the face, you know?
It sucked, it turns out.
It was the Wild Wild West, you know? It was a wild time, but it really toughened us up, I think. Because nothing fucking bothers me now. Like, not a goddamn thing bothers me.
Oh, see, everything still bothers me. That's how I developed a sense of humor so I can get to these fuckers first and be like, I'm a fat, effeminate weirdo. Ha, gotcha. Yeah,
gotcha,
idiot.
bitch.
You know, so, and that's the whole point, like taking control of that a little bit to kind of like, beat him to the punch a little bit. I think that's how I became a funny person, or at least a person who tries to be funny.
Because you were trying to beat him to the punchline.
Yeah, just trying to get any kind of ground, and then and sometimes I won myself some bullies to friends. Like you had some of those those little stories that would happen here and there, and then by high school it was pretty much like, oh, okay, cool. I'm still part of the outcast, but like in the 90s, the outcasts were also the cool kids, and for whatever reason, the outcast little clique I was in high school was bullied. We were kind of friends with like the sports people because they were all the stoners, and all of my friends were stoners. But then like the band nerds would be the ones to bully us, which sounds super fucked up.
What is going on?
I don't know, man. Ohio's a weird place.
Oh, you're in Ohio. I mean, you know what though? Yeah. I mean, like, I feel like just our area in general. Like, I consider Ohio, right? Philly.
Okay, yeah.
So I consider Ohio somewhat north. You're somewhat part of the Northeast. You're not quite central. You're like in a weird zone, so you get a lot of
Wisconsin, but we're not quite like New Jersey. You know,
fucking hate New Jersey. But yeah, you feel like I feel like anyone I've met from Ohio, it's like a mixture of both. You like that. You're somewhat Midwest, but you're also a little bit Northeast. It's like a weird combination, you know.
I'll take it. Salut.
I'm gonna end up finishing this well before the podcast, or I should have made a backup. I never do.
That's we can always take breaks and refill. Well, it's your show. I don't want to run it. You
So you dealt with the weirdness and shit, but like what really got you into like that comedy side and improv is tough, man. Improv is like that's not an easy thing to do.
It sucks, but it's also like I have a weird, complicated relationship with improv. I'll put a pin in that. I think honestly, it was like seeing the impact that humor could have in my life. It's like, oh, this is the way to win people over, is to be funny. That's great. I like making people laugh. It's great. Oh, I'm getting attention, and it's positive attention. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Even if it's self-deprecating, it's still attention I was controlling. So it's like dope, into it. And then I would watch like I grew up also to add to insult to injury. I grew up like in the middle of nowhere. We didn't have cable, and we didn't have like we couldn't get it because it was out in the wilderness, and even like the normal channels that had like Conan and like Fox and stuff like that would like come in really fuzzy. So I would ingest Conan late nights and be very tired for school on this fuzzy TV. Like it was great. And that really like that The Simpsons, eventually discovering like Kids in the Hall. And I was just like, oh, okay, well, comedy's the best thing in the world. And then I happened to get involved with public access, which is like, any of your younger viewers are going to be like, well, I don't even know what that is really, but like,
what's public access?
Right. Essentially YouTube, but like,
yeah,
it was,
on a TV.
Yeah. It's like, it's just it's the weirdest thing. And the spirit of public access, I still think lives on. It just has a chance to become way, way bigger. But yeah, I did an improv show on public access, they just had one on there, which is crazy. And I got involved in that, and then just kind of did that we was part of a troupe, and we did some live shows, and mostly did like live broadcasted shows. And then I would do live shows on public access where I found out that you could swear on public access because because the cable's not governed by the FCC. So I would do a live podcast at like 8. I was such a little edgelord piece of shit when in my early 20s. And I would just be like, oh, whatever, poop and pee, fart, fuck, dick, poop. I can swear on this, right?
You can say whatever the fuck you want, bro.
I figured as much. And it was, so that was like, that was fun. And through that I met people that then, were like into like making films and horror films and other little weird films. So I would be a part of those and co-wrote a couple of those. And one film, I call them, they're not real. Like they're not like, you know what I mean? Like they're on IMDb, but like you can put anything on IMDb. One of them was almost entirely improv, right? Almost entirely improv with my friend, who's an actual real comedian who gets paid for it, Ryan Singer. He and I were kind of the leads awesome. in a movie called The Wonderland Express, and that was a lot of fun. But yeah, and so I just does that answer your question, or I'm just kind of rambling at this point? Okay, good.
No. I mean, look, I think it takes a special type of person, like intellectually, to be able to do improv well. So I have the utmost respect because like anybody can kind of like write up jokes and practice them and now let me go back. You can't. Not everyone can be a fucking comedian. Not everyone's funny. What I mean by that though is like, comedians practice their stuff, right? They rehearse it. They refine it. Improv people just fucking wing it every time. Yes. So like, you just gotta respect that because like, have you ever done one in front of a crowd and it bombed? Like, what's it like doing it in front of like an audience and it doesn't go well? Like, is it just awkward?
I mean, it's awkward, but like, maybe I've developed, maybe my tough skin is formed in that way, where it's like, it's so funny to me when I'm bombing on stage that I kind of have to like out of body experience myself and kind of jim the camera a little bit and be like, can you fucking believe this is happening? This is terrible. Like it's so funny that, that I'm trying to get something to work and it's not working, that it's funny even to myself. And then you stop taking it so seriously, then you chill out, and then you can sometimes, hopefully, steer it back and actually get it to be like somewhat funny. Sometimes.
Like, it's got to be an awesome feeling to just be killing a comedy or improv show, right? Like, what's it feel like to like just see the entire crowd just fucking dying laughing?
It feels cool. It feels really good. It's something that I miss doing with having like, not performing live that much anymore. It's a different kind of energy. It feels good. When you notice it, sometimes you don't even notice it because you're so engrossed in what you're doing and you're just going for it. So it really depends on scene to scene, I guess.
But it like, oh man, I mean there can't be many feelings that you get that is similar to like making an entire crowd like piss their pants. I don't know, man. I guess I'm one of those. So I'm a pussy. So, and I say that all the time on my show. I feel like I could come up with a decent comedy like 30 minutes. I probably could put some fun shit. I don't know if I could constantly do it. I could probably be like a one and doneer. And I think to myself all the time, I'm like, man, if only I had the balls to do like a comedy night somewhere. I couldn't do it. I feel like I would shit my pants. I'd walk up there, I'd poop my pants, I'd get a ton of laughs because I'm like, I just shit my pants.
Yeah.
But that wouldn't be part of the set. I couldn't sit out there smelling like shit and then it'd be done and over with. So I mean, I guess I'd get a quick laugh, but I don't know.
So I've done stand-up comedy one time, and it went well, but I knew most of the people that were there. It was extremely small. It was like at noon at a record store opening for my friend's book signing. So it was a very specific, weird crowd that was just going to be, I think, polite to a guy making alt comedy jokes, you know what I mean, and not actually, you know. So, I stressed out so much trying to get it right and trying, like you said, like to rehearse it. And part of the bit was it did sound so rehearsed. I was, you know, a coward's way to do comedy is to do like, oh, I'm acting like I'm a real comedian, but these jokes suck. And that's exactly what I was doing because I'm a coward. And because I was able to hide behind basically a character, it was very easy to do once I got on stage. But at the end of the day, it's not that rewarding. I mean, again, I only did it once, but I would much rather do something off the cuff. I just like off the cuff. And I don't do improv that much anymore. I actually just started up taking local improv classes and working, you know how they do. You have to work your way through their system, and then you have the privilege of you know, playing on stage, which is fine. I get it. But I love doing the podcast the way I do it because I have, you know, it's live. There's a chat. I have people that can call in and just to at any time they can call in to like run bits themselves or just ask something or do whatever. And I love that, like that chaotic energy of it. I think it's great. I don't prepare a ton for my podcast, and it streams on Twitch, but I'm not playing video games. I'm just doing a couple of loose segments that I've come up with. I have a puppet, and it's sometimes, and it's So I don't know. I don't even know where we were talking about. I go on these tangents.
Yeah, I do the same thing, man. But yeah, you know what we recently started watching? And I don't know if it's something since you didn't have TV way back then, but we just switched to YouTube TV. I was paying like $200 plus, $250 I think, or $280 it was up to for Comcast, and I couldn't do it anymore. I'm like, I'm done. No, I can't do it.
They're criminals.
So I switched to Verizon, which was $90 a month for internet, and YouTube TV, and I'm paying like $140, $150 a month for, you know, and honestly, I didn't realize just how many channels. Like I had every channel known to man. I didn't realize how many channels we actually watched, and it's really like 10. Like,
yep.
Like channels we would like that have things all the time, but there's a channel on there that always has Whose Line Is It Anyway?
Mm-hmm.
And that's like one of my favorite, like, you know, it's 11 o'clock, you're like, you know, laying down, and it's just, or, you know, it's one of those things where you could put on and just really laugh because like the shit they say or come up, they're geniuses. You know, Colin, Ryan, Wayne Brady, like they're just fucking hilarious, and they're so fucking good at it.
Yes, they are very good. I mean, you're also getting like a super cut of like all the best shit from that night because those shows, from what I understand, run long, and they just get the best stuff. But still,
really?
Like, yeah. I've never seen one live,
sense.
but yeah. Oh yeah. But
that's hilarious. That's hilarious. Yeah, you know what? I guess that makes sense. You know, because obviously from an editing perspective, like they have like random people too, like with the newer ones where it's like they have like models, they'll have random actors. Like I watched one with Gronk from back in the day, and it's like,
you tell me Gronk is hitting every single sketch? There ain't no way.
Yeah, well, they would bring them out. It was, I don't know. It's kind of silly how they do it, but they would bring them out like 3 times in a row instead of like just sitting them out there. They'd be like, "All right, bye," and then the next sketch they'd come back out. It's like, and they introduce them again. It's like, we know fucking Gronk, you know. But it's just it's funny how they have it set up. But it's fun to watch it again because I haven't watched it in a while.
Yeah.
And I just respect that type of comedy because I could never fucking come up with that shit. So let's talk a little bit about the concept of your show. So
sure.
Looks like, you know, I was going through your stuff. It looks like you posted for the first time like 14 years ago on YouTube. So tell me a little bit about the evolution of 14 years ago, because I was watching certain things, and it's like, you know, you could tell, you know, 14 years ago, I mean, a lot of people weren't doing YouTube, right? Or as many people weren't doing YouTube. So you were kind of like doing it early, and then you could see, you know, I think when you started your podcast on Twitch and then we're bringing it to YouTube too, it was like night and day with the
Yes.
differences in resolution and you got your graphics on Twitch and things like that. So tell me a little bit about like the concept of your show. How'd you come up with it? What made you do it? And how'd you get to where you are now?
Sure. So originally I didn't want to do like the internet like thing, like be a vlogger or anything like that. Like, but people kept on. It's the typical hack thing you keep on hear about. Oh, people at work are like, "You're funny. You should do comedy. You should go on SNL." And I'm like, okay, that's how that works. And so I was encouraged by some coworkers. They're like, "You should just do a vlog thing." And I'm like, "What would it be about?" And just like, I don't know, just do something. So I ended up making something that was kind of a weird. I don't know what the fuck it was. I go back to those and I'm like, I don't know what the fuck I was thinking. I think it was like a mildly Pee Wee Herman-esque kind of weird thing I was doing.
It's kind of what I got from it.
Yeah, very structured, very strange. And then I did those for a while. It was a lot of effort because I would typically come up with the idea, shoot it, and edit it and post it all in like a weekend. So it was a very like, I didn't do a lot of, I'm not a writer. I don't like to write a lot of stuff ahead of time. I would come up with a loose outline and then just wing it. And I stopped doing that. And then a friend of mine, Danny, and I decided back in like, 2017 or something like that. So a few years after I did the YouTube thing. It was only like 30 some episodes. It wasn't that, and they're like 3 or 4 minutes or nothing crazy. We started to do an audio podcast, which we did that for like 2.5 years weekly. And it was a lot of work, but a lot of fun. And that's kind of where, we've had a lot of like the viewers that came, that are listeners and viewers that are now watching the show now. And a lot of just like the tone of the show, like this weird, chaotic, joyful, kind of like like a little goblin gobbling up a baby pig or something like that. But it's a cute goblin and it's a cute baby pig. So you're like, aw. And so it's like a fun, chaotic, weird little mess that that's kind of come from it. It's not as sweet as the original stuff was. And yeah, so I stopped doing it. We stopped doing the podcast when COVID hit, a little before COVID, and then it was hard to do anything during COVID. And then coming out of COVID, I was just like, I'm gonna fucking go crazy if I don't have a creative outlet. And I was like, well, I like video games, so I was like, well, I should, I don't know how many video games I tried to make myself. Turns out that shit's really hard when you don't know how to code and you don't want to learn how to code. Very, very difficult to do.
Yeah.
And it sucks. And so I had all these different little failed projects, half-started stuff. I would get really passionate about that stuff, and then that felt so high, and then the lows from like failing at that or losing momentum, and then being like, ugh, sucked so bad, and then you'd start spiraling and trying to figure out like, well, I got to do something creative because just being a lump on the couch isn't cutting it. I have to do something. I need something. And so I started to do this about a little over a year ago. Started to do a weekly live version of a weekly live one-man video version of what we were doing before. So I've kept the numbering. So we just hit episode 200 a couple weeks ago. And I think that counts, even though only like 60 or so have been the new version of what it is.
Still
it works
counts
for me.
Still counts.
In my head,
yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, good. Because my friend Danny still contributes. He still will call in and will like come up with ideas. He calls in all the time. He has various bits and characters. He's one of the funniest people I've ever met. And yeah, so it is my main creative outlet, and I love it. And I'm not going to stop doing it until I'm a corpse in a bathtub. You know what I mean?
It's yeah, and you know what, man, I've talked about this before, but there's something just fun about podcasting. And especially if it's like it's for me, it's your creative outlet. For me, it's my hobby. I don't really have many hobbies. Like, I'm a nerd, so gaming, but like gaming doesn't, it's different, like gaming gets out stress for me. Like, I play a lot of competitive games because I'm fat and older now, and I don't play sports like I used. Like I really enjoyed basketball, so I would go play pickup basketball a lot. I would play for 10, 11 hours sometimes straight in a day, like, when I was younger. Yeah, but back in like 2016, I tore my ACL, and once you tear something, dude, you're never really the same. I'm probably 85%, you know, and so for me, it was like, okay, I can, and that's why I started with Twitch, you know, and I was actually doing pretty well, man. I was making like $150 a month.
Wow,
streaming
great. That's
video
awesome.
games. But I didn't like dancing for kids. Like that's what, like it makes me sound like a fucking pedophile, but it's like, dance monkey for this $3. Dance.
If you're a pedophile, they dance for you. That's how that works. So really,
that's true. All right, I feel better about myself.
No, you should.
The kids are the fucking pedophiles, little bastards.
Yeah, the reverse pedophile in me.
But no, that's. I mean, it's just. I'm too old for that shit.
Yeah.
You know, like if I was 20 and this existed when I was 20, I would have fucking killed it. But I was like, all right, I got it. And everyone always said I always had a very good mic setup. So everyone's like, you sound like an announcer. Like I'd get into a game, they're like, what type of mic are you using? And I'd have to teach people, you know.
Yeah.
And they're like, you should be an announcer. You should do a podcast. And I'm like, nah. And then one day I'm just like, you know what? Fuck it. You know, I know some people in the game, and I'll just interview. I started out, I'm like, I'm just going to interview esports people, gamers, Twitch streamers, right? And then I'm like, well, I have other interests. Like, I like other shit. I like conspiracy theories. I like sports. I'm just going to open it up. I'll interview everyone. So my first, 6 or 7 episodes were just streamers and gamers and esports people. And then since then, you know, we're on episode 78, 79. It's just whatever I find interesting, and I've really enjoyed doing it that way because I don't get stressed out about trying to find people who are streamers or gamers or whatever. And I get to talk about things that interest me, and that keeps me more engaged. But you know, I've learned a lot doing podcasting, and you know, it's definitely I'm in the red for the past 2 years. You know, it's not like I'm making money doing this, but I have so much more fun, and I meet really cool fucking people from all over the world. And there's not many things you can do that will get you access to that. You know,
absolutely, and especially if you know, it is so tempting to see the success of a video game podcast or YouTube channel or whatever, or a true crime. Jesus Christ. Do we need any more true crime anything? Give it a rest. There ain't enough dead bodies to make all these fucking shows out of. And it's like, it's so easy to do that and be like just hyper focused and become successful at that. Even enough to be like, oh, this justifies my time doing it. I would rather eat a fucking baby chick live, which would break my heart, than do that, because that is the most. I would be bored immediately. I would get bored immediately, and I don't see how any of those people can be fulfilled doing that. There's not enough variety in any subject for you to have to be beholden to that very narrow lane in the road. You know what I mean? So I think you made the right choice.
And streaming games sounds fun, and you know I have the utmost. Yeah, I have the utmost respect for people that do it, but it makes gaming like a job, and it
makes it stressful.
Yeah, I don't want that.
I have to be on, but then I also have to make Link do the shit that Link's got to do here. No, it's terrible. It sucks. I hate it. Ugh.
I want to be gaming's my stress reliever. I don't want gaming to create more stress. And look, you know, if I'm fucking playing, some games are still gonna stress me out, but. It's not like stress. It's not like I have people watching me get stressed. Yeah. So, do I miss streaming? Maybe a little bit, because I met some cool people, but this is my thing. I just I've always been a talker, you know, and I just enjoy meeting new people, and I think there's some value to some of the stuff that I bring up, that I talk about, that my guests bring to the show, and I know I have people that are younger guys that listen, that, you know, part of my thing is, I drink, and I interview people and stuff, but it's also like I've went through some fucked up shit in life just like everyone else, and I hope that like my experiences, your experiences, whoever's going to be the next guest can have some sort of an impact on somebody, that maybe it changes the way they think about something, or maybe it inspires them to start their own podcast or whatever, right? It's like you kind of leave a little bit of an impact in the world, to a certain degree. I mean, does it fucking matter? Who fucking knows? I used to care. I used to look at all my stats, I don't give a shit.
God.
I don't look at my stats ever.
No.
Because I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't fucking care.
That way
A
leads
buddy
to
of mine,
madness.
Yeah, well, you know what? You get so focused. I'm a numbers guy. I get so focused on it. But a buddy of mine, I'm a co-host on 2 other podcasts because, of course, as you do this, you meet people, you have relationships, and then, it's like, hey, you want to be on mine? I'm like, all right, fuck it, let's do it. Yeah. But we had some posts recently that are like going like not viral, but they're doing really, really well. Like better than me and him have ever done independently. And we're like, all right, we made a good decision. We made a good decision doing this together, Shout out Rage and Pillage podcast.
Rage and Pillage? What's that
about? I mean, if you want... the Rage and Pillage podcast is basically my way of letting my hair down. Now, I know I got a lot going on here.
Yeah. It looks beautiful.
But it's a podcast that it's a buddy of mine, Burley, started, and he interviews some people here and there, but it's mostly like, at this point, it's mostly me and him just talking about super fucked up shit. I mean, the last episode we did, we talked about a guy that had 2 dicks, and we talked about it for probably 20 minutes. Probably 20 minutes. Yeah. And I mean, he has to edit out, he has to blur the actual dicks, but he's showing me the dicks, and I'll tell you, man, I don't know. I'm still as oxy of a moron as this gonna sound. I'm still split on the topic. Because the dicks weren't like, they weren't split like separately where it's like here where it would make sense.
Yeah.
They're connected here, and it looks like a Hydra dick. Like if you pictured a Hydra with 2 heads, not 3, with 2. I don't know. I don't know. That's what I said. Yeah.
I think I'll just take my standard wiener. I think that's fine. I'll just be a standard wiener guy. I don't need to have 2.
Yeah, well, and here's the thing. So the guy's gay, and I have plenty of gay friends. I have no issues with it, but we were joking about it in that like women would be scared of it, but when it comes to men, like we're all about that shit. Some guy's got 2 dicks. It's like hey. Yeah, he can bang 2 dudes if he wants, or he can, it's like he can get a blowjob. Like it's, it's a thing, right? So it's like we're like, of course the guy's gonna be gay because, like, if a woman would look at that and be like, oh shit, I don't know what I'm doing. The guy's like, oh, perfect.
They grew up on Garbage Pail Kids. They're like, yeah, cool. I've been conditioned to like this shit. Yeah, that's like a He-Man character. Yeah, awesome.
It's like D&D. It's a Hydra, right? It's like whatever. It's
double dick.
But it's double dick. Yeah, we were just laughing the whole time, and I'm like, that's the type of show where I can go on and I don't have to come prepared. Mm-hmm. We just talk about fucking dumb shit. And it's a comedy podcast,
Yeah.
We get hate. People will jump on and be like, you guys you don't like this. It's like, look, listen to my show. Like, come on my show and listen to what we talk about. It's different. But it's a show I can just hang out and it's fun,
Yeah.
And, I look forward to doing all this stuff for the week. But that's the cool thing about, to kind of circle this back, right? It's the cool thing when you do stuff like this and that you meet really cool people and then they kind of just stay in your life. Like, and Reddit and all these other things, like you just meet people and people are cool, man. And
agreed.
You're all just trying to do something, create shit,
There's a few people that, you remember the show Perfect Strangers? It's my favorite sitcom of all time. There was this group, a Facebook group, that was basically just making shit posting about Perfect Strangers, which I didn't understand the subtle art of the shit post back in when we, I don't know, 5 years ago, and I was just like, this, I don't like that they're making fun of my show. So I basically on the podcast started a war with a Facebook group and called people out by name and started reading their posts and be like, "You're attacked. You're under attack." And then they started getting involved with the show that way. And now they're like some fantastic friends who call in all the time, contribute, and we're good friends. So yeah, the internet
That's
is a magical
awesome.
place.
Well, you
And
know
you
what
can
though?
cyberbully your way into having some good friendships if you try hard.
Yeah, but you know what though? Like, there's some cool stuff because, like, obviously with us, right? We came at a time where, like, yeah, especially as men, we would fucking get into a fist fight and then be best friends the next day. And I don't know if that happens.
I never did that, but yes, I've seen.
I've
that
gotten
happen.
into some. Yeah, I've gotten into some fights with people, but
Yeah.
I mean, I think there's some fun shit when it comes to guys and just what we're, the testosterone's flowing, whatever. But the internet is almost like that to a certain degree, especially, the hate is so funny, and that's how I knew I was doing something right. It's like when and look, I do all my own edits. I do all my own fucking, like, I learned how to use Adobe and Photoshop and Descript and Squadcast and audio and video and all that other fucking bullshit
fun,
you got to
good
learn
stuff.
to fucking do it, right? I'm self-taught. So when someone posts something like, "Hey, you're a fat piece of shit, your podcast sucks," I'm like, I always reply with, "Thanks, man." Or I'll go on their, like, if there's someone that has a profile. What did we get the other day? Someone's like, "Oh man, if only," because I'm in another podcast where it's called Body Wrong, and it's a 5 podcasters, including myself, and we come up with top 10 topics, and we just say dumb shit, whatever. Someone commented like, "I wish I was a middle-aged man, saying dumb shit, blah blah blah," and then I go on this guy's profile, and he's like, he works at a gas station. He's like. Yeah. He's obviously a loser. No offense to that guy who listens to the podcast. Yeah.
He's not happy where he is, and he's in a consequence-free environment where he can just shit on somebody for whatever reason.
And he has like 3 videos, and it's like him in his gas station. So I'm like, man, I wish I was a gas station attendant that looks like he hasn't showered in 2 weeks. And I do this from my podcast TikTok because I don't give a fuck, Yeah. And he responds with, he corrected me to 8 weeks. And he's like he made fun of himself. And I'm like, that's how you know you win on the internet, is if you make fun of somebody for making fun of you and they make fun of themselves back.
That's good. That nature finds a way, and it found it then. That's beautiful. It's a beautiful story.
I will specifically go on there and I say that to the guys. I'm like, look, I'm just letting you know if someone's fucking saying shit and I have ammo, I don't care. I'll fucking respond to everybody and I'll call them all cocksuckers. It doesn't matter to me, man. I don't really care. But it's fun to me. I kind of like the animosity. Like
Sure.
I don't like being the bad guy.
Yeah.
But I do enjoy a little bit of that friction because I guess maybe because I'm older and I don't know, I get bored in life,
It's more interesting than everyone being completely fake and nice, right?
It's so annoying, man. Everyone's fake now, and then the moment you leave, they talk shit to you via text or the internet or whatever, Tumblr. It's like you really can't do anything anymore without people being upset or pissed off. And it's like, come on, man. Grow up. Not everyone's going to like each other. If you don't agree, it is what it is. Like look at your instance, right? You got mad. You didn't agree with what they were saying. They didn't like what you were saying. And they're your friends. That's kind of like being a human.
Yeah. And
that's what can happen.
I was in the wrong ultimately because you can still have a love for something and then make fun of it. And I think at the end of the day, I had to admit to myself that Perfect Strangers, though I love the sitcom very much, is kind of a shitty show and worth a little bit of ridicule. So it's we all grew, I think, from that, which is really what you want at the end of the day.
But I mean that's healthy.
Yeah.
People disagreeing, right? You got pissed off, they got pissed off, you both disagreed, but at the end of the day, they became friends. Or acquaintances to a certain degree. And that's, if more people did that, we'd have a much better world. At least a much better right now. if you just not everyone's supposed to agree. Not everyone's supposed to. A lot of the public opinion is like 5% of the actual public. It's like,
okay.
They control the public opinion, and it's it's rough. But I did want to talk to you a little more about your show.
Sure.
Where did you come up with the concept of bingo?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I did it before I started doing so I was Shawn Green forever. And recently, maybe like 2 years ago, maybe a year and a half, I just decided one day with just my friends that I like hang out with and play like video games with. I was like, "Hey guys, I'm Bingo now. Like I want you guys to call me Bingo." And one of my friends always is like, "Absolutely, man, cool." And he's always agrees. He's always a yes-ander. He's like, "Yes, I'm an agent of chaos, and I agree with you." And it annoyed two of my other friends. And so I'm like, "Oh, cool. Well, then this is the bit. This is what's happening now." And it's been said so much now that I'm just Bingo in every instance of my existence. It's infiltrated my work. It's everything. It's everybody. I'm Bingo. Like it's not just a show name. Like I am Bingo.
That is fucking great.
Stupid. It's a stupid name. Who wants to be called Bingo? Me apparently. A fun bit to do.
Though? I was gonna say there's definitely some stuff you could definitely fuck around with on that.
Sure. Part of the bit of being called Bingo, also, which I find very funny and no one else does, is if people be like, "Oh, is that your name-o?" And I'll be like, "What? What do you? Excuse me?" Or they'll be like, "Oh yeah, like the game," and I'm like, "Excuse me?" Or like the dog, and I'm like, "What are you talking about? Like, what?
Who the fuck is that?
What are you talking about?" And again, no one cares. No one thinks it's funny. I love it. I think it's a blast.
It's like if you name yourself Polo or something like that. Like a Marco. You're like, who the fuck is Marco?
Like, Marco, what are you talking about? Like, you make them feel stupid for even saying that. Yeah.
So I watched a couple episodes.
Yeah.
And I got to know, where the fuck did Bruce come from? How did he get introduced to the show? And it's fucking hilarious, by the way.
So Bruce is a boglin. It's a very short-lived 80s toy called boglins. Look them up. They're one of my favorite things on the planet, and I've had him for a long time. And I've always, and I would just do Instagram videos and stuff like that of just me like talking as Bruce and doing things, saying weird stuff and just like that, and it was always a fun thing. And then while I was doing this, I was like, there needs to be something else to this show. I need a co-host again. I need something. So I crafted and constructed a whole little puppet cage. It's next to me. I wish I could show you in a meaningful way. It is. Here, let me do this.
Yeah. Come on, man. Let's see it. Let's see it. I'll post this on YouTube either way.
Okay, perfect. So this is there's a weird contraption. It's made out of a keyboard stand with some PVC
I was gonna say I have that keyboard stand.
Perfect.
I have that the same keyboard stand for my keyboard upstairs.
I ripped the fuck out of it apart, and I have this PVC contraption here that goes to a webcam right here, and that shows into Bruce's little thing here. And then I have hold on.
Oh, hey. How you doing, Rob? How are you?
This
camera's kind of messed up.
That is fucking awesome, dude.
Okay. See you later.
Okay, well,
you're awesome, Bruce.
And he's kind of acts as the de facto like I have a tendency in real life, and then also my amped up caricature version of myself in the show to get very judgmental and shitty and persnickety and just like a little shit. And he is, when I have those thoughts of like, you got to fucking dial it back, buddy. He's the one who chimes in. I have one of those foot pedals that can switch the camera to the other camera, and he's well lit and everything like that. And then he'll be like, Bingo, you're being, you're a little out of hand here, buddy. And it's a great, it's funny. And
that's awesome.
It adds an extra element to the show. I usually don't have any bits planned, but then sometimes we'll do little like pre-scripted sketches where he'll play I have a segment. I'm a graphic designer. That's my job. And so I have a lot of opinions on graphic design. So I have this segment I called Pretty Police, where I put on some aviators and I have a gun, and I'm like, freeze, motherfucker, you're fucking dead. Your logo sucks. And I'm very violent about it. And then sometimes he'll be my police chief, and he'll be like, bingo, we've got a case for you. You've got to get to take a look at this guy's plumbing van. It's terrible. And I'm like, okay, chief. And then we'll do it. And so it adds an extra element of at least somebody else to like kind of play off of, even if it is just me playing with myself. If that
that's fine. You can say it. You can say it. It's all right. That's hilarious. And I do think in the stuff that I watched, you got to do more of Bruce, man. He's got to be more involved, because like I watched anytime he came on, I was dying. The voice is perfect. What you crafted for him is hilarious.
Thanks, man.
Have you ever had anyone have you ever invited like someone you were dating or whatever over, and they were like, what the fuck is this?
Oh yeah. That dating's weird. Dating's weird as a 44-year-old man in Southwest Ohio anyway. It's also weird if you're like, oh, I do a weekly podcast. You're like, oh, cool. How many listeners? And they're like, no,
7.
It's like not a lot. And then they come over and they see my living room, which is dedicated mostly to this giant setup I have here with a big, giant, dumb computer. And then this thing, like, I'm not tucking this away in a closet every week. It just stays out. It's part of the living arrangement. So they so far, most have responded well, but
that is hilarious. I was thinking, I'm like, oh man, he's got to have a great setup, and it's probably going to be so awkward if you have someone over that you're like trying to do a Netflix and chill type moment, and they're like, what the fuck is that? And you're like, well, that's Bruce.
Yeah, it's either that or they'll be like, is that Bruce? And that's when I know that they're worth keeping around. I'm like, okay, maybe you're all right.
All right,
we'll figure.
Yeah, you're kind of cool. I like you.
yeah. You've got a childlike whimsy, which is great.
Wait, I mean, you're good with your hands.
Hey, all right. Hey, right? Exactly.
It's a puppet, man. I mean,
that's proof. That proof is in the boglin.
Proof is in the pudding, right?
Yeah.
I mean, dude, I have the same thing. So, like, it's weird. All right, so the house we stay at, we have an in-law suite down here, but we have the whole house, and we're trying to buy it. My fiance's mom is an interesting person. But eventually we're going to move upstairs, and this will be my man cave down here. But this is where we live. So when I was streaming, I have an Elgato green screen. Shout out Elgato. Which is amazing because this thing stands up, and I don't have to tape it to anything. So
I've been looking at one. I really want
get it.
I need it.
It's $160. I don't know if it went up in price, but I've had this for 4 or 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
Works amazing. I have 2 really small lights, nothing crazy. But I mean, this was something I used during my podcast day or during my Twitch days. Yeah. And it was great because I could take my background out. It would just be me, right? It would be totally invisible behind me. And, because I was playing Valorant or Apex or whatever. But when I started podcasting, I have this up because my bed is back in the corner.
Oh, yeah.
And my couch is over here. And, my dog cages and crates are over there. It's like, you can literally see my whole fucking existence. So it's funny because, a lot of my friends are like, dude, we don't see anyone else that does a podcast that has a green screen where they don't do anything with it. I'm like, this is what blocks you guys from seeing my life. like my bed, and they'll do their podcast, their beds behind them and shit. I'm like, I can't do that, man. I need, this is our living room, our bedroom, our dining room. I don't want, I want to be disconnected from that. This is
absolutely.
Right. This is my office. And, the wifey always gets mad at me because I'm not putting this shit away. So I put it down. And it's cool because it just folds right down. And you just cover it up with it's got the casing or whatever, and and it's got 2 little feet that you just push in. But it sits in our living room. which is also, our bedroom, kinda,
Yeah.
And she's, she gets mad because it sits right there, and I'm like, I'm not fucking moving that thing because it's in a perfect spot.
Yeah, I know exactly.
I just pull it up.
Yep.
I just fucking pull it up.
Yeah.
My one light that's here is always in the same spot, which today I moved it because, like I told you, I was messing with the fucking lighting before this podcast. But I moved the lighting, but it's normally in the same spot. She's like, "But you moved this fucking light," and I'm like, "No, I can't. It's got to stay right there.
Got to stay there."
This won't be a problem when we live upstairs, but it's a problem now because it's our life. But I get it, and even if I wasn't with her, it would be in the same exact fucking spot because no, I'm not moving it.
And that's what, and that's what you get. That's everyone has something, right? That their partner's
creatures
not
of
gonna love.
habit. Creatures of habit, really.
Yeah,
At the end
and
of
this
the day.
keeps you happy. Keeps you. So I say it's a fine sacrifice. I can talk to her if you want me to. I can.
I only want you to talk to her as Bruce, though. I'm like,
Honestly,
hey, babe.
I was going to suggest that because I would fuck that up. He would do great.
I'm like, babe, listen. There's my new best friend. His name is Bruce. He has a PSA for you, and then we'll just cut right to Bruce. Well, we should do it. Actually, we're gonna make a video. You reach out to me. We'll do it. It'll be hilarious. It'll be fucking great. So let's end on this. You have over 200 episodes. Which is good. I mean, obviously you've changed along the way, and I think any good podcaster, streamer, someone that's on the internet. Change is good, right? A lot. I mean, we've all at this point changed and adapted our shows to what we like, along with what viewers like, because at the end of the day, that's what fuels us. Tell me a little bit about kind of, what have you learned along the way? Is there any tips that you can give to other people that are aspiring comedians or improv? And tell me a little bit about the streaming process and Twitch and how you've kind of navigated through that. It's more of a two-parter.
Sure, yeah. It's funny. The main thing about if you're going to do anything is figure out audio and normalize. If you have control over the audio that's going out after the fact, make sure that shit is normalized and don't blow people's eardrums out. I can't believe there are like the Endless Honeymoon podcast, a very well-to-do, very well-off podcast, very funny, professional, famous comedians. Every once in a while they'll have an episode where just their guest's mic is just not figured out correctly and they don't do shit in post, and it destroys my ears if I'm in the car or in ear. It's terrible.
I can't do it. I'll never do it. I won't release it. I won't release it.
or you have to painstakingly go in there and then adjust every single audio. It's just, it's a mess. I will say that even though the upfront annoyance and YouTube searches and figuring out audio stuff for doing a Twitch stream was a lot more than doing an initial podcast. The post work for doing a live show, especially if it's just me, I don't have another person's mic to deal with, it's 20 minutes tops, where before it would be doing it in person live or in person co-hosted audio podcast. The post work would be hours because people don't talk into the mic the right way. They might be like this. I didn't have the best mics at the time. And so it was a nightmare. This is just so quick. Again, it's 20 minutes of just like exporting, getting the video, cutting in the video, putting in the, proper whatever you need to put in there. If there's too long of a break, chopping that up, and then exporting that and putting that on YouTube, writing up the show notes. It's nothing. So advice-wise is just, I will say this advice-wise. I don't know how any person, if you're going to stream, I don't know how any person can use voice meter products. I don't know if you fuck with voice meter, potato, banana. It's basically a way to get your audio channels to be separated. So like your audio is separated, your game audio is separated, a phone call audio is separated, your browser is separated. But it's the most fucked up UI. And I'm not joking, I paid a weird Mormon kid on Fiverr to try to help me figure it out. He couldn't do it. I watched videos, YouTube videos. It's a nightmare. I will say this. Elgato, a fine brand and fine company, has a thing called Wavelink, which is their mic. But and I don't have a Wavelink mic, but they have this software that makes that so much easier. It's so much more streamlined, and it looks like an actual program that makes sense, not replicating some archaic, anachronistic piece of audio equipment that some fucking boomer has in their basement. So I would look into that. Wavelink.
Yeah. Okay.
I
mean,
to
I
God.
do this. Yeah, like this program I use here, Squadcast, is awesome because our video and audio are separate for each of us.
Oh, that's great.
So it makes it nice and easy. I've been editing my podcast in Adobe for the longest time. I have Adobe Suite. It's awesome. I taught myself how to use it. It could get a little complex.
Yes.
However, I've recently started. So my audio, I've been messing with Audition, which is in the Adobe Suite, which is really easy, super easy.
Know
to
it
use.
well.
But I've recently fucked with Descript, which owns Squadcast. They bought Squadcast, and you get it for free. So what's cool is with this podcast, with the podcast hosting of Buzzsprout, you get Descript and all the features for free, which has a ton of AI shit to it. I edited a full hour-long video in 10 minutes with 2 sets of fucking data, my background and everything. And then what's cool is it gives you the transcript for the entire fucking thing.
Oh, that's
which
great.
it crafts in like 5 minutes. And you can highlight the text and then copy it over, and that's a clip. And it'll take the video and that audio and the fucking subtitles and put it into a whole clip. It is ridiculous.
That's
so
awesome.
Oh, dude. Yeah. If you're listening to this and you're thinking about starting a podcast or you have a podcast, look at Squadcast, Descript. It's $30 a month. You will not get a better deal for $30 a month to host your podcast, as well as be an aggregator for the podcast, which posts it everywhere, and be able to edit every fucking thing. You could do audio, video. It'll do all of your fucking. I've recently started doing blogs with my degree's in IT, so I'm not a graphic designer like you, but I designed my website, and it's okay. I use Divi.
No Divi.
Divi works well with WordPress. It's
Okay.
like it's a good plugin to use for, and I think it was like $200 for a lifetime membership. And they actually have like just standard web page templates that you can use. So I built my page based off the template. And then I started using, I'm going to start blogging episodes. So I'm taking the transcript from our episode, putting it in Chat GPT,
Okay.
having it summarize what we talk about, and then make a blog based on that. And it helps with SEO. It helps with a lot of, I'm trying to do things. I don't know. I didn't do
That's
this last year.
I've never even considered doing that. I'm very bad at everything when it comes to getting my podcast seen. So
Well, you let me know, man.
Smart.
You let me know.
That's
I'll give
interesting.
you some ideas if you need.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. Yeah.
I'm a host of random shit. Like, some shit fails. I don't know if it's going to work or not, but I'm hoping it'll help increase the SEO on the website I made. And who knows, maybe it'll, get some random people. I get random people, actually, that fill out my form that'll ask me to be guests all the time. So, I mean, it's doing something on the internet. Do I know
Yeah.
what it's doing? Who knows what the fucking algorithm's doing?
Who knows what the Lord algorithm is doing out there?
Fucking T1000 over there figuring
Right.
out, what's going to happen. But look, man, we hit the hour mark ish, and it was a pleasure chatting with you. Can
Ditto.
you tell everybody in the audience, everyone listening, where they can find your content, and if you
Yes.
got anything going on now and in the future?
Yeah, so my podcast is called Halfwayokay. That's all one word, HALFWAYOKAY. That's where I'm at on social. I'm not as good as updating my social as I should be. I'm getting better with that. But yeah, we do
Been
every
there.
Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We do a live show. It runs about 2 hours unless something weird is going on. One of them, stuff gets weird. Recently, there was a balloon, an episode where I attached helium balloons to an Afghan that was covering my naked lower half, And the more viewers we got, I would attach another balloon, and then the idea was it would raise the balloon above my head and show the world my penis. So that one ran long. That was longer than 2 hours. That was episode 193. That was a good episode. It was actually a terrible.
That should have been 200, man. That should have been 200.
It should have. But I wanted. Well, the joke was, it's a long story. It was the Halfwayokay. So it's 320. So it was on March 20th because we didn't have a show on 420. Because of the way it's very stupid. It's a very stupid show. I'm a dumb clown man, and if anyone watches my show, I'd really appreciate it. The puppet's very cute, and that's pretty much. I don't have anything else going on of real substance. It's just that, and I love doing it. So Halfwayokay.
Awesome. I need more Bruce, man. Give me more Bruce.
I'm taking a note right now. Taking a note. More Bruce. All right, there
more
we go.
Bruce was hilarious, and honestly, I clicked on anything on your Instagram that had Bruce. I'm like, I gotta see what he's saying, you know. So
did you happen to catch him serenading me to Coldplay's "Yellow"?
I did. I did.
That was a seminal moment for me and Bruce. That was a very sweet moment. It was a very good moment. I don't remember which episode that was, but it's out there, folks. So.
That is fucking Follow this man on Instagram and make sure you check out. No offense, Shawn.
Yeah.
I mean, bingo.
Yeah.
Bruce is the man. I like Bruce. For my podcast, you can follow me anywhere you listen to podcasts. It's Drink O'Clock. Drink O'Clock Pod on every fucking thing social that you could think of. And we'll have a blog out for the episode. All that stuff will be done. This will be either next week or the week after.
Awesome.
Whenever I get around to fucking having time to live life, but also do this. Especially it's a holiday weekend, so I'm probably gonna get drunk tonight because
you have to.
I haven't drank in 2 days, so record for me there. But look, it was a pleasure having you on, man, and let's do this again soon.
Absolutely, man.
If Bruce gets famous, we're having a full Bruce episode.
I'm there. He's there too. He loves it. He lives for this.
It'll be great. Awesome, dude. You have a great night, man. Thank you so much.
You
I
too.
appreciate it.
Have a good one.
You too.
On a stormy night where legends unfold, there's a podcast that's breaking the mold. Raise your voices, raise your glass high. Welcome to the Drink O'Clock podcast. Let's dive. Oh, grab an old fashioned and join the flame. Raise your spirits, let the music play. From the corner park to the dance hall floor. Drink O'Clock podcast, we're ready for more. We're ready for more. With a mix of folklore and rebel cheer, we'll guide you through tales of whiskey and beer. From Irish shores to lands afar, grab your friends, it's time to raise the bar.